Okay, where are we at here? It's 10:42 on the Tuesday morning. So just sort of getting sort of slightly into this sort of Asian session before we get a bit of the more serious kind of volume into the market. Just start off with Aussie because it just keeps on grinding higher and that. And this basically this is on the 4 hour here. This just shows exactly what we've been talking about the whole sort of way through. We've put in a high, which was the wicks tops over here. Obviously, sold down. This is coming through last week. We've grinded our way back up to the top here. Unable to close above these wicks, like into that zone. Quick little sort of sell off. Obviously, sort of got a little test up along the top here. It's pulled back down, but bang, okay, through the second time. Once it's gone through, we've gone up, we've made our wick high, we've come back, retested. And this is the perfect thing that we can see here, how, and it just shows the example of how resistance, 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 now support. And these are the things, when you get these big breakout moves, if you're in the position here, obviously, like, well, not obviously I was, but, obviously if you are in these sort of positions, and you take a bit of your profit on these pump up ears, where I typically do, coming back here it gives you a good chance to sort of pick up a couple more. So I got a couple of more longs actually just overnight, which filled. Didn't get quite down the bottom here, but around sort of high 80s, sort of low 90s. Where was it? I think it was around 90 or 92 or so. But a couple of positions down here, and obviously we're sort of moving back up here early. One thing with Aussie through this session, we do have retail sales coming out. So I think it is actually sort of expected to be a little bit of a drop because if you remember last month was quite strong. I think the expectation was 0.3%, came in 0.9%. This time the forecast is down at 0.1%. So I think the thing with this is that obviously a drop in retail sales will textbook reaction. So just getting a phone call. So yes, a textbook reaction to a drop in retail data figures will be sort of typically sort of not great for the sort of for the currency's appreciation. The idea being that sort of like what they're trying to do when they raise the rates is curb spending habits and slow down spending. So obviously, if spending and retail figures are high, that means that there's a higher chance that, well, it supports the case for more interest rate rises. And the inverse is obviously true as well. So if the numbers are lower, then, it shows that, hey, look, what we are currently doing in terms of sort of rate hikes and these kind of things, it's having the desired effect. So it weakens the case for further sort of rate rises. With such a dramatic sort of drop off of this, though, I'm thinking sort of like, you've got 0.9 last time, 0.1 expected. If we do get a low print, I expect a bit of a drop off. But since the DXY, US dollar as a broad sort of sense, is being sold off so strongly, I don't imagine that the sell down, if it does come, will be anything that'll be sustained. I imagine it'll be bought up, which I'm going to sort of be buying any dips if they do come. And then sort of we'll sort of have to sort of see how it plays out and what the actual sort of data is. As I said, because it is 0.1, if you come in anything above that, well, in theory, market is already priced for a 0.1. So it's sort of like, yes, it is lower, but it's not quite at where the market thinks, where the market thinks it should be, i.e. 0.1%. This could also have a positive reaction, even on a lower number for the Aussie dollar. So they're just a couple of thoughts on sort of how it does come. If it does dip, I'm going to be buying the dip and try and sort of ride it back up because I think we've still got a little bit more upside. Last night we didn't get quite to those wick highs that we'd had marked out over here. So that's around the 16.17. We got to 13.14. 66.13, 66.14, and then obviously sort of sold back down here. So that's fine. That's given us our little breakout line here. We are seeing a little bit what could be, so move this back down, a little bit of a sort of channel forming along here, though I'd start to think that the fact that we're just grinding so much of this, I don't know if I sort of really trust this so much. So I'll sort of go through and update a few lines for a few supports to sort of see where we might sort of be going further. This was that little wedge that we thought was playing out last week, which obviously got a little bit of a drop off from 60 back to that back test of low 65s. But obviously from there, it's just continued to grind higher. We haven't really sort of done much of a, in way of a sort of a bottom wick on the 4 hour here. So if we onto the daily, actually, I should say. So we are sort of continuing to sort of push up here. So again, my expectation is that we will push up past this sort of 16, 17 wick line. And I think a good sort of place to sort of say that, okay, we might get a push up towards. If we sort of look along at these bodies along here, I think this is on the daily, that we may sort of see something to this sort of effect being the next range to come into play. So I think a topside move to, again, around sort of, mid 66s. I think it's due for a little bit of a cooling off. I mean, this is a very sort of strong one-way move here. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 on our fifth leg here. So even if we do sort of get a bit of a push up here early, and then sort of go into, I'm not really a big Elliott wave kind of sort of person, but these things do tend to sort of hold some sort of truth to them. A little 1, 2, 3 connection, and then correction, and then a sort of continued sort of move forward, I think is definitely a sort of possibility. Once we do get up above this sort of 66.50 line, though, we've got these big areas. So this big dotted line coming through here is your weekly falling resistance. So if we jump onto a higher time frame, and this is obviously, as I keep saying and reiterating, that these higher time frames are obviously more significant and i.e. stronger to sort of get through. So if we sort of get up around this area here and get up into this next zone, which if you actually sort of drag this out, this is starting to look like a pretty decent area for where we could be targeting for a little bit of a cooling off from it all. Look, in saying this, it can obviously, we've got some big candles here, big sort of, this is on the weekly consolidation. We could get a big sort of charge up to 67. I mean, it's not off the cards. It's only 90 points now. So, 1.5% or so. So, it's definitely a doable move. But yes, certainly I think sort of now we're sort of getting up, proving ourselves somewhat above 66 with that little back test. I think we've still got a little bit more upside into some sort of cooling. I reckon the 66.50 is a decent area that we could be looking to sort of take the profits for the next level. Up above that, then of course you've got these other sort of levels here. If we sort of drag this through, a bit choppy over this way, so I'm not sort of really too worried about that. But certainly I think over these areas here, we've got a monthly body fill. Of the weekly, and we've got this other sort of weekly sort of wick. So yeah, it's certainly Aussie has been coming back beautifully, and as I mentioned, like a couple of weeks back and that, a month and a bit back, how I thought this was a bit of a trappy area. It's definitely playing out as such, and you got to think if anybody sort of got into these areas, obviously a lot of people were talking 62s, sub 62. If they're sort of still holding these, well, they're certainly getting squeezed now. So yeah, we'll have to sort of see how these retail sales affect things, and then sort of go on from there. We've also got Bullock. Actually, I just see now giving some speech. She's talking at some conference. I think it's in Hong Kong. Inflation, financial stability, and employment at the Hong Kong Monetary Authority and Bank for International Settlements. High-level conference in Hong Kong. I'll have to sort of see how this one impacts things as well. But I think certainly, if economists at the moment are sort of supposedly saying that, we're not going to have another rate rise. Some people are saying, oh, the last one's the one we didn't need to have it. Well, I disagree with that. And obviously, sort of, the RBA sort of they did raise, so they disagree with that as well. And if you remember a couple of months back, sort of earlier this year, there was a sort of 100% chance of no rate rise, and then they did raise 25 basis point, and Aussie absolutely took off. on that news. So, you got to be sort of a little bit careful and cautious when people are saying 100% on things, because the opportunity in the other direction is just so great. Because realistically, if it's 100% and then it does happen, well, what do we say? It was 100%. So, the reaction's fairly muted. But if you do get the opposite move, well, that offers a lot of opportunity for other people to be sort of unwinding those positions against their 100% predictions. All right. So anyway, let's keep going. We'll flip on to gold, which keeps sort of charging forward. Again, another one that sort of tries to sort of push back down. But if we get off the weekly, get onto something a little bit more here and now. So this is the 1 hour. And again, perfect example. These were sort of resistance points. Obviously, sort of going back along these areas, we've seen resistance, and now it's played its part as support. And it is just still grinding through. And this is what I was sort of saying with gold. Unless we get some sort of news catalyst and that, this move here, I think, as I said, it was taking out the stops that would have been above the previous monthly high. It's jumped onto people's radars, and people are going, okay, hold on, there's a good chance here. We're at the 28th now. We've got 2 days left of the trading month, well, of the month, or trading month, and there's a good chance at the moment that it's going to sort of close up above this 2000 area. So I think that's definitely going to put it on a lot of people's radars. And as long as DXY keeps selling down, I think they're going to continue to sort of see some value in precious metals and keep pumping it a bit higher. I'd like to see it sort of take out these wicks just for that little confirmation. We could have a little bit of a triangle sort of coming through here. Let's pop this one a little bit higher, probably around this zone is probably a bit better. But yeah, certainly anything with a close up above sort of, say, even above 16, we're already seeing at 15 at the moment, but certainly above 20, I think is going to open up the door to a big move in a grind sense, up towards that sort of 2032. And if we're starting to get up here, we're really moving away from that 2000 area. And as I said, we're getting very close into the end of the month. There's a chance that sort of we see people do a bit of an attack to push it back down around this 2000 area. But as of now, I think it's certainly looking like they're trying to elevate it and trying to sort of hold it up in this zone. Just 2 seconds. Okay, there's non-stop calls this morning. Yeah, but as we see, sort of like RSI, this is just on the 1 hour. RSI is certainly supporting a little bit more of a sort of push up to the top side. Let's see what happens with the market when sort of DXY and all that volume sort of comes online. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see some sort of little, ranging area through here. Certainly, I think any sort of dips back down to this 2008, 2009 area could be a good addition to sort of add to sort of positions. As I said, I say numerous times, I don't really give gold much credit for much movement in Asia session. Obviously, we had this big push up through here yesterday, but again, a lot of this was just hitting those stops. So I think sort of any sort of dips down here, I think this would be worth a little bit of a purchase. And then certainly be looking to sort of take notice of it if we do get these closes up around this sort of 2017. Let's put an alert on this one here, just so we looking good. Okay, bang, powering on. We've got DXY coming through here. Look, DXY, it just continues to grind down. Not really much to sort of update with this. I mean, this is the course of action that we said last week. I think, again, these is just, it was like this or something like this, but the point being was known purchase area, so buying area, support, bang, came up, just to grab liquidity, bang, smash down. And you can see every one of these little rally attempts, they're not getting anywhere substantial, and they're getting hammered into time and time again. So yeah, we're just sort of seeing this continue to sort of push to the downside here. Obviously, again, closing on its lows. That's on a 1 hour, 4 hour, and the daily. So the daily sort of, again, if you sort of think that, where we go, just to highlight this, that's your sort of daily support. We've closed on the lows underneath it all. So, that pretty much is like, as I said, this is the kind of price action you'll come down and you'll see it. I mean, you can see it here time and time again. Comes down, finds support, resistance, comes back to test those previous lows, punches through, cycle continues. Finds support, pushes up, finds resistance, comes back down, tests those lows. Obviously, a couple of times I push back up here, bang, pushes through. Comes down, finds new support, pushes back up, resistance, comes down to test these lows, and now we're through. So given the general sort of way that price structure moves, we should expect a little bit of a continuation and push down the side here. It's actually got the over the Stosh RSI off that. Hi there. Oh, I've got alarms going off as well. It's got that Stosh like off the very lows here, looking almost to just sort of roll over and sort of push back down again. So as I said, I've got this price target for the measured move bear flag from CPI. Which obviously tried to push away from, but still yet to complete. So sub 103, I think very much could be something that we could be seeing here before I expect a little bit more of an attempt to sort of push things a bit higher, and we could sort of start to see maybe a little bit of a triangle or something coming through this area through here. But yeah, time will tell. If we sort of drag this down, does that give us anything? Not really. Cool. All right. So yeah, a little bit more downside with DXY to come, it sort of seems in the short term here. If we do sort of get a significant sort of close, I mean, this is on the 4 hour, significant close above sort of say 350, just to consider the other side of the coin. I think this could give us a little bit more, but certainly at the moment, it's very much just in looking at a continued sort of sell off to the downside here. Flip on to copper quickly. Copper just ranging, really. It's up in this top area here. This is what, 1, 2. I mean, you call this the same sort of thing here, but realistically, three attempts to sort of push it back down through here. We have put in a small little lower high through this area here. So, if we can get back through this here again, that'd only just mean that we'd be targeting the top side of this little short-term range here. Again, we want to sort of see a breakout of this top area here, because even though it's sort of pushed right up into here and got slammed down, it was only just the top wick into here. So we want to see some more closes, break through this falling resistance for here first. Let's put an alert on this one. So this is short-term range, falling resistance. This will basically sort of just be, as I said, an indication that we'll be continuing to range through here, opposed to a little bit of a break back down over here. Though in saying that, the main trend of these inside lines here, so if we do sort of get a break down to the downside here, or even a sort of a grind off to the side over here, there's a good chance that sort of this will definitely sort of come into effect again, and that could be the launch pad to sort of get us back a little bit higher. To sort of really sort of move along these ones here. Price target for now is still elevated, and I'll push it up to this sort of 394 area. Just obviously, as it needs to do, a little bit of work on that before it sort of can get there. And finally, just flip across onto China as it continues to find this new area to grind through. Potentially sort of in this little bear flag pattern. Sort of, with this sort of somewhat sort of, rising support, but still, again, you got to look that it's like, even though you're getting the buyers pushing up a little bit, sellers are also coming down and down. They're not allowing it past this level. So, a close above here, sort of like 7172. We could sort of see a bit more of an extended sort of move to the top side. This could also come in line with, if we do see, with the DXY crosses, a bit more of a sort of a rallied push up to the top side. I do imagine this is going to be quite a hard area to get through. So even if it does come down here, I imagine a little bit more of a push through this area, and potentially some, like a little bit more of a sort of range through these bits here. I don't think we're necessarily going to sort of pack it in straight away. I mean, it could, obviously, that's why we've got the alert set up there, but this is a weekly support area, so it's certainly going to be quite tough to sort of get through there. Cool. All right, that's it, and that's about it from me.